All right, let's keep going. So first, I just want to cover something. Where is it? Lima Platoon curriculum. So in our curriculum, that's broken down by weeks and days. Down here, we have resources for you to how to submit your work for review. You don't have to worry about any of this really right now. We'll get to that later at a later date. If you want to see like a curriculum of a generic, like kind of how the overall course is kind of set up, it's not 100% like this because it has changed a little bit, but that's there for you. What I want to cover specifically is daily check-ins. Hold on a second. Someone not muted. Yeah. Is daily check-ins. So we like receiving a lot of feedback, and we want to get feedback from you pretty much on a daily basis of how things are going, how you're feeling. So it is important. The first thing everyone does when they wake up or before they come to class is fill out this daily check-in form. So it gives us a gauge of specifically how you're progressing. And it allows you to provide specific feedback or ask questions that you don't necessarily want to ask in front of the class. So how confident are you feeling about yesterday's curriculum? Additional feedback about it, whether it sucked or something like that, but like saying it sucked isn't really good feedback. Anyway. How you're feeling right now about your progression, additional feedback, how are you feeling overall? Please let us know if there's anything we can do to make Code Platoon more enjoyable. So if the previous day you pair program, like who is your pair programming partner? How did the pairing programming session go? And how well did your partner communicate with what she was thinking to you about? How well did your partner listen to what you were trying to communicate? So just pretty much any feedback, any mentor or TA that you want us to give a shout out to, tell us what they did. So any TAs, we love hearing feedback from you about our TAs. So, or your mentors, you can give a shout out here and we'll let them know. So it's really important to fill this out every morning. We'll set up a reminder in the Slack channel with a link to this every morning. So you shouldn't forget. I'll leave that site. If you do finish everything that's like officially done, you can definitely help those people that are around you. Watch tomorrow's videos to get yourself a leg up on the next day. Go through Code Wars. We highly recommend going through Code Wars. Has anybody familiar with Pramp? No? Pramp's a really good resource if you have time, which you may or may not, but it's a really good, helps you practice mock interviews. It's close to like an actual mock interview. So you can read it here. Essentially, it assigns you. Oh, cool. That's nice. You get partnered up with somebody, and they get a question, and then you get a question, and it's your responsibility to give that question to the student or to your partner, and they have to solve it within like a half hour. But you're giving the answer beforehand, so it simulates an actual interview. So I want to see if TA pre. No. So here, it's like I used this a few years ago, 2 years ago, and these are the questions that we would I'd get. So like here's maybe a question I received or that I had to give to my partner, and it's actually, so you get assigned a time and date to do it, and you show up together online. It's all done through here, but it simulates an actual interview type feel, and it's really good. We have Code Wars. I highly recommend Code Wars. So if you get to level 5, so it's kind of weird. Code Wars, I think, starts at level 8 and goes down to down to level 5 or down to level 1. So the newer you are, you start at 8. If you can get down to a level 5 before the end of the cohort, Rod has been generous to allow you to pick out a Code Platoon gear of your choice. So if you're able to get down to a level 5 kata in Code Wars, just let us know that the last week of the course, and we'll get that for you. Also, YouTube. Here's all the YouTube. I think we mentioned this. Kilo Platoon week 1 or week 10. These are resources for you. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go over the command line. So we just created our command line, which is really pretty. So we're going to work in here. Let me, 1 second. Let me get this up and running. So the command line interface, also known as the console, the terminal, it's essentially another way to interact with your computer in a non-GUI way. What is a GUI? A graphical user interface, which is essentially how most people interact with their computer, using folders, copy and pasting, using the right-click button, using your mouse, essentially. So the command line, graphical user interface on the left. We've got, folders, icons, all this stuff. Where the command line interface is all done via this. All done via the command line. And there's a lot of things you can do in the command line, and the more proficient you are in the command line, the more efficient and productive you can be as a developer. So what can you do with the command line? You can add a folder, remove a folder, list the contents, add a file, remove a file, and navigate to another folder. So I highly encourage everyone to navigate their laptop or their machine using the command line going forward until you're super comfortable with all the commands and everything, just because it's going to make you more efficient navigating, opening files, and everything like that. So what can you do with the command line? As I mentioned, you can, make a directory or create a folder by doing the mkdir, which creates a new folder. The touch, which we've already seen a little bit, which creates a new file. You can remove a directory by rmdir or rm-rf. What's the difference between rmdir and rm space -rf? Does anybody know? Come on. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. The RF is like force or recursion. So it basically, it's kind of the first one without the flags of RF. It'll ask nicely to delete something, but if it runs into any troubles, it's just going to stop. The other one's a little bit more brute force, and it'll say, okay, hey, I had some issues, but let's just knock that wall down and delete it anyways.
Right. Yep. So remove directory is essentially you're deleting this directory. However, if you try to remove a directory with items that are already contained within that directory, so if there's already files in that folder, it won't delete it. However, if there's files or folders within the directory you're trying to delete and you run this command on it, then it will actually delete it. We have rm, which just removes a file or deletes a file. ls lists everything in a folder. I use this more than any file. This and cd, I use pretty much the exact same amount. ls, I always list everything. Every folder I go into, I list it. It's just natural for me to list stuff. CD is how you change the directories you're in. Does anybody have any questions up until this point? So let's. Oh, go
Does
ahead.
it? Sorry. So what? I think I've forgotten a command to kind of list the hidden files. Which one would that be?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's ls
Dash A.
space dash la.
LA.
Like LA, yeah. I think that's it. So,
Okay.
so when you list it, you don't really see the hidden files. So when you delete files you delete a folder, you actually essentially deleting every file, even if it's hidden, right?
Yep. So yeah, if you delete a directory and you use this command, the recursive
that
resource,
command, yeah,
it will delete everything within that file or within that folder.
even though.
So let's go in here. So right now I'm at the root level of my computer. If I wanted to list out everything at the root level, how do I do that? What command?
ls.
ls. Bam. So I've got application, I got all this stuff. These are all directories, these are all files. So if I wanted to navigate to the desktop, what's the command? If I want to change into the desktop directory, it's right
CD
here.
space capital D.
Okay.
Desktop.
CD capital D E S. So as I'm writing it, if I like I'm slowly writing it and I press tab, it will autofill the rest of whatever it is, because it already knows like, oh, desktop, and there's nothing else that's similar to desktop or it has the same words. So it's just going to automatically fill in the desktop when I press enter. Next step, I'm going to list it because I always list everything. I always want to list. I know I got a lot of stuff. People's guest. Oh God. Right. All right. I got a bunch of stuff in here. If I wanted to create a folder called Lima Platoon, how do I do that?
mkdir space Lima Platoon.
Yep. I'm going to clear this. So if you didn't know, clear, I've been using it a lot. Clear brings it up to the top. So mkdir space Lima Platoon. Now, if I list everything, Lima Platoon is right here. Now, if I wanted to navigate into Lima Platoon, I can do CD Lima Platoon. So yeah, I just typed in LIM and then now I'm in the Lima Platoon. So I've got the desktop, Lima Platoon. That's my file path. If I wanted to create a file called names, what should is it echoey? All right. Cool. If I want to create a file or a JavaScript file called names, what's the command?
Touch names.
So if it's a if it's a JavaScript file, so I want names.js. JS. So now I can ls. There's my names.js. Cool. Now, if I wanted to create two files called, I don't even know, Navy and Air Force, how do I do that? If I want to create two files at once, I do touch, Navy.
Should just be able to put a space between them.
Yep, Navy Air Force. Actually, that would be Python file. Let's create a Python file. Navy. List again, always list. Cleared. I'll list again. Air Force, names, and Navy. If I wanted to move up a level to desktop, how do I move up a single level? So I'm in Lima Platoon. Now I just want to move up to the desktop.
CD space double dot.
CD space double dot. moves it up one level. So I'm going to go back up into Lima Platoon by CD into Lima Platoon. Again, CD dot up one level. So I'm going to go back into Lima Platoon. If I want to get back to my root directory, what's the command?
Just CD.
CD. So yeah, anytime you just CD, it just automatically takes you all the way back to the beginning. CD desktop, Lima. What if I wanted to create another folder called like a test folder? So I'm going to make a directory called test. And now I'm going to CD into test. There's nothing in this folder. If I wanted to navigate to Lima Platoon folder from the test directory, how do I do that? So first I have to move up to the desktop directory and then go into the Lima Platoon directory.
CD // Lima Platoon.
/Lima. Yep. So now I'm in the Lima Platoon. So I'm CDing, I'm going up one level, which is into the desktop. And then I'm from the desktop, I'm going into the Lima Platoon. I can see less cool. Now I wanted to, what if I want to remove the names.js file? How do I do that?
RM space names.js.
Names.js. List. All right, great. Sorry, it's really echoey. Someone. All right. So I'm going to move up. So if I wanted to remove the Lima Platoon file or directory, how do I do that? Anybody tell me?
Back out one and then RM-R.
So CD up one level. And then
RM space -R.
RF. So if I just do the RMDIR Lima Platoon, it's going to say RMDIR Lima Platoon directory not empty. That means it's trying to delete this Lima Platoon, but there's still contents, there's still files in it, and it's not letting me do it. So as you said, RF, which stands for, I think, like recursively force Lima Platoon. Nothing doesn't show up, but if I list everything, Lima Platoon is now, nothing's there. All right. Let's do another exercise together, and then you guys can do this as well. Or let's do this one together. All right. Can everyone see that? Can you all see this? Yep.
Yep.
All right, cool. So I'm going to start at the root directory. So it says, make a folder on the desktop called command line exercises. So someone tell me what I need to do.
Make dir command line exercise.
So first I have to navigate to the desktop. So CD desktop, and then I got to do make dir command line exercise. I'm listing everything. Where does it show up? Where'd it go? Did I miss it? Oh, right there. Command line exercise. So I'm going to clear it. So inside that folder, inside the command line exercise folder, I need to make a folder called exercise 1. How do I do that?
Okay, there, exercise 1.
So I have to navigate into the command line exercise folder. So CD command line exercise.
Yeah, you could do it from there
Yeah.
if you did the fully qualified path. But yeah, if you're in it, it's easier.
Yep. So mkdir exercise 1. Inside exercise 1 folder, create an empty file called awesome text. So CD into exercise 1. List everything out. Nothing is there. So I need to create an empty file called awesome text. So how do I create a file again?
Touch space awesome.txt.
.txt. Don't forget to, whenever you're creating files, don't forget the extension, the file type. So this is going to just be a text file. If it's a JS, JavaScript, or if it's a Python, or if it's a CSV. So touch awesome text, always ls. I always ls just to make sure, okay, it's there. Cool. Awesome text. And it says go back out one directory and create another folder called exercise 2. So CD up one directory, the CD dot. I'm going to list again, always list. Anytime I change a directory, I list it. List, there's exercise 1. So right here. And it says create another folder called exercise 2. Make directory exercise 2. Again, I'm going to list it again and make sure that directory has been created. Exercise 1, exercise 2. Great. All right, it says create 2 empty files, change into exercise 2 directory, and then create 2 empty files, Lima Platoon and Lima Platoon PY and a Lima Platoon JavaScript file. So I need to CD into exercise 2. So see how I CD exercise and then I tab it because I want to auto complete it, but it doesn't auto complete it. It only fills it up all the way up into what it actually can because it doesn't know whether it's exercise 1 folder or exercise 2 folder. So exercise 2, and then I can tab again, auto completes it. I can list it, nothing's in there. I want to create 2 empty files, so I can do touch Lima Platoon.py and Lima Platoon.js. So generally best practices for Python, it's snake cased when you're naming the naming conventions of methods and stuff, which means everything's lowercase. And if there's a space in the word, or if there's a space in it, it has an underscore. Whereas JavaScript, everything's camel case, which is it's got the humps. So there's no spaces, but it starts with a lowercase, and it's separated. Words are separated by capital letter. So Lima Platoon and Lima Platoon. So I list everything out in the directory you are in. So change back out of the exercise 2 folder. Up 1. All right, now I want to delete the exercise 2 folder. How do I do that again?
RM dash.
Exercise 2. All right. So exercise 2 is now gone. Only consists of exercise 1. We're in, change into exercise 1 folder, CD exercise 1. So now it auto fills it nicely because exercise 2 doesn't exist anymore. It says list everything in it. We just have that awesome text. Go back out 1 directory. So go back up 1 directory. I'm going to clear some back into exercise. So list everything in the current working directory, which is just exercise 1. Now I want to go back out 1 directory. So now I'm at the desktop. So I was always in the command line interface or the command line exercise, but now I'm back into the desktop. And now I want to delete the command line exercise folder. How to do that again? Is it dir?
RM space dash RF.
Awesome, thank you. Command line exercise. Now if I list it, it doesn't exist anymore. Does anybody have any questions about interacting with the terminal? Like navigating around.
So this basically just seems like a manual way to do what I'm used to in Windows Explorer. So it's just moving folders and files within them, right?
Yes, and it's substantially more efficient because if I wanted to create like, if I wanted to create a folder called Lima Platoon, I'd have to come in here, right click, Lima Platoon. So it's untitled here. They'd probably change it like Lima Platoon. And if I wanted a Lima Platoon to have a bunch of files of every single student, I'd have to go to like file. I don't even know how to do it. Like new folder. I don't even know how to create a new file in here. So I'd probably have to like come out here.
You have to open the whatever program you want to
That's right.
create it in, right?
So yep. So like a text edit. So I wanted to create. Oh geez, what was that? So text. Let's see if text edit works. So here's my text edit. What? I don't know if does it work. But yeah, I'd have to like open the file, like a text editor, and like save the file, save as, name it a student, and then like copy it, and then like drag it and drop it into this folder. Whereas if I needed to create a bunch of files, I can literally just do a CD desktop, ls, CD Lima Platoon. If I wanted to create drive. Let's see, hold on one second. If I wanted to create a bunch of files, I can do touch like osei.txt.txt and just like keep going like tom.txt, noah.txt, daniel.txt, and I can like, bam, I got 3 files or 4 files created right away. And I can even like Vim, I can go into Vim and like, what is it? I just got messed up. What happened? No right since last change. Oh, well, whatever. But yeah, like I can even change like the files, like the contents of the file from in Vim if I wanted to. So yeah, what you're used to doing, the command line is a much more efficient, much more developer-friendly way. It prevents you from moving the mouse a lot. So I came from banking, and like all I used to use was Excel, and the whole goal was to never even touch the mouse when you're using Excel, because you're just using shortcuts and like using a bunch of shortcuts, and it makes you substantially more efficient at building. So yeah. Oh, there's something else I was going to cover. Anyway, well, we'll take a 10-minute break right now, and we'll be back at 2:00, and we'll continue.